How's it going, everyone? My name is Swanee and welcome back to my channel. Now, I apologize for not posting very many videos the past week. There just hasn't been much going on in Helldivers 2, and instead of pumping out videos just to tell you guys that, hey, nothing's going on, I just decided to take a little break. I'm not really having too much fun with Helldivers 2 at the moment. It's currently really bugged. My one friend can't even play because he keeps crashing constantly, and I've been wanting to make some loadout videos and some weapon balancing videos and stuff, but I just don't want to, invest all this time into making loadout videos and weapon videos just for them to release a big patch update any day now and just completely change every single weapon in the game. So instead of just making videos just for fluff like I've seen a lot of other YouTubers do, I decided to take a little bit of a break, and I like to respect your guys' time and only make a news video if there's actual news. And for the topic of today's video, I consider this to be some pretty big news. So if you didn't know, earlier this morning, the CEO of Arrowhead Studios announced that he is stepping down over on Twitter. Johan, the CEO, says, "Hey everyone, big update. I decided to hire Shams Georgiani, I probably butchered that guy's name, so I apologize, as the new CEO of Arrowhead Game Studio. We go way back and I wouldn't trust the business in any other hands than his, and he comes with an impressive resume and love for games. But what about me and my involvement in Helldivers 2? Well, I'm glad you asked. I am taking the role of Chief Creative Officer, which means I will spend more time with the team and 100% of my focus on games and community." So not gonna lie, the first half of this post had me a little worried, but seeing that he's stepping down to become the Chief Creative Officer is actually some pretty good news, because based off of how he's been interacting with the community the past couple months, it feels like he really loves Helldivers 2 and wants to see some changes for the better. And with this announcement, obviously there's going to be a ton of questions from the community, so he was replying to a lot of people on Twitter. For example, we have this question. It says, "Does this mean that weapon rebalancing will get the attention it deserves with you taking a more involved role?" And Johan replies, "Just yes, that's the plan." Then there is this one. It says, "You need to ensure more content to retain the player base. I wish you the best of luck. Helldivers is an amazing game." And then he says, "Yeah, longer lasting content as well," which kind of goes back to the whole player base is dwindling right now. If you take a look at the player numbers, they're in a pretty bad spot right now. We haven't had player numbers this low since the game's release, so they definitely need some longer lasting content, I agree. Then we have this post that says, "Start making armors have actual interesting stats. Too many are just copies. All the guns in the Polar War Bond are meh or bad. Best addition was the grenade, and can bots or bugs attack other planets, instead of moving in a straight line towards Super Earth?" And then Johan simply responds saying, "Agree on all points." And then there's this post that says, "As CCO, what is your direction in receiving and reviewing player feedback?" And Johan responds saying, "Very good question. First thing we got to do is ensure we get more devs time playing the game. It's hard to make the right decisions if the eyes are on the road. Secondly, I want to ensure we actively look at the sentiment and create a holistic view of why feedback is given. And my working theory is that time to kill is too high." So this is good to hear. He wants more devs to actually play the game and do play testing to figure out why the community wants all these buffs and stuff. And the fact that he says that the time to kill is too high is a pretty good sign as well, because most of the weapons in this game feel so underpowered because the time to kill is so high. If you have an assault rifle and it takes an entire magazine to kill one bug and there's like 50 bugs attacking you, then yeah, something's not right there. So that's definitely reassuring, and I'm glad to see that he does think that the time to kill is a little too high. Then we have this post that says, "Will you still be active among the community?" And he says, "Even more so." So hopefully this means that he's going to be interacting more with the community on Reddit and on Discord and answering more of the community's questions directly. And then we have this post that I wanted to include. It says, "Going public like CD Projekt Red is probably next, followed by the DEI eating away at all you have built." And Johan simply responds saying, No, we are not going public. It doesn't make sense for a dev studio and has never paid off. We will double down on what makes Helldivers 2 great." So if you were at all worried about Arrowhead Game Studios going public and getting investors and transitioning into just a scummy, crappy AAA company, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case, and they're going to keep things as is, which is great news. Like he said, it never really works out for game companies when they do decide to go public. Everything goes south because then it's all about making money and less about making great games. So honestly, this is probably some of the best news to come out of today. So that does it for everything in regards to the CEO stepping down and becoming the Chief Creative Officer. But that's not all I want to go over today. Twinbeard, the community manager, has been pretty active on Discord recently, and he's been replying to a number of different questions. For example, we had this question. They said they were wondering if we were getting any type of bile-based weapons like acid sprayers. And then Twinbeard says, without knowing for sure, I'll eat my beard if we don't see any more weapons along the line of spraying in the future, whatever they may spray. Which is interesting because I'm pretty sure in the leaks there was some sort of like acid sprayer that was found, so he could be hinting towards that. And you know, his whole thing is that he's got a big beard, and the fact that he's saying that he's willing to eat his beard if they're not going to have any new spraying weapons, that's saying a lot. So I'm pretty confident that we are going to get some sort of sprayer in the future. My guess is that it's the one from the leaks where it's basically like the flamethrower, but it's going to spray out poisonous gas. It'll probably just work the same as the orbital gas strike, but in the form of like a flamethrower. Then we had this question. It says, I know it's not a pressing issue at the moment, so sometime in the future will we have an emote wheel so we can use all the different emotes? And he just simply responds saying that's something we're looking into. So the emote wheel is at least on the devs' radar, and that's good to see. Hopefully they add some more emotes to the game, or just take the victory poses and turn them into emotes, because we keep getting new war bonds, but none of the war bonds have any new emotes. They're always victory poses. So there's definitely a lack of emotes, and having an emote wheel to give us the option of picking and choosing whatever emote we want on the fly, I feel like that's definitely a feature that would make the game a lot better. Then we have this question. It says, I know you've been asked a lot about weapon balance, but I've barely seen any questions about enemy balance. And Twinbeard responds saying, we're discussing them internally this very moment, so yes we are, thanks for your input though. So this is something else that's reassuring. Like I just went over, the former CEO Johan says that he thinks the time to kill is too high. He said in the past they're looking at buffing assault rifles and stuff, and here Twinbeard confirms that there is ongoing conversations about nerfing some of the enemies. So I would imagine here sometime in the near future we're probably going to start seeing some of these big balancing changes where they're either going to buff the damage of our weapons, nerf the enemy's health, or maybe tweak the weapons to give us some faster reload times and stuff like that. And I feel like the game as a whole is going to feel and play just completely differently than what it does now in just a couple of weeks. And then the final thing I want to talk about is the next patch. Now, Twinbeard talked about this yesterday. Somebody asked, when can we expect the new patch? And Twinbeard simply said, when it's done. We want to take our time for this one, and potentially between future patches, since we feel the cadence has probably been a bit too high to be able to maintain the quality standard that we want and you deserve. Patching a lot can easily disrupt workflow and takes more resources than you might think. It needs planning, implementing, monitoring, possible tweaking and hotfixes, etc. For this one, we prefer to stretch it out a little, hopefully with a good result. So there's currently no timeline on when to expect the next patch. It could be in a day, it could be in a week, it could be in 2 weeks, we have no idea. And I think that's part of the reason as to why we're seeing the player numbers drop so low. I mean, there just hasn't been much going on. The player numbers keep dropping, we keep failing major orders, and because we keep failing major orders, we haven't gotten the new anti-tank mines, and because we haven't gotten the new anti-tank mines, there hasn't been any new stratagems to play with. The last war bond ended up sucking, and a lot of people didn't like it, and just the overall state of the game is that a lot of people don't like the way that the weapons work currently. Everything feels underpowered, and it's just not that fun. That, combined with the more people play, the more people are starting to hit that cap where there's nothing left to unlock. They've got all their resources saved up, they're sitting on the maximum amount of medals, and there's nothing really left to do other than just play matches endlessly. And the content is fun, but it starts to get a little repetitive when you have nothing to strive for. When your only objective is to land in, kill stuff, and leave, it kind of takes the fun out of searching for samples and trying to get all the objectives completed, because there's not really a reason to do so when you have everything unlocked. So I think a lot of people are starting to run into that issue as well. So hopefully going forward with this big change of Johan stepping down from CEO and becoming the new Chief Creative Officer, and him being more engaged and involved in the community and replying to people directly and taking the player feedback, hopefully in the next couple updates, when we're getting all these weapon buffs and stuff, the game will be a lot more fun and we'll start to see some of those players start to come back. But that is going to do it for today's video, guys. If you're new here, please consider hitting the subscribe button and hitting the bell for notifications. That way you don't miss out on any future Helldivers 2 videos. Let me know what you guys think about all this down in the comment section down below. And that is going to do it for me, and I'll talk to you guys next time.